Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be covering what's behind Manchester United's meltdown, Bayern Leverkusen extending their win streak to 48 games, Real Madrid officially winning La Liga, and David Moyes' West Ham departure and Chelsea resurgence. Make sure you stick around for later in the show where I'll be giving you my take on my preview on the Borussia Dortmund PSG game. Before we start, I would like to ask that you like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question puts read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link at GSMCpodcast.net. The questions. This puts your questions at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps grow the show. So again, the link is GSMCpodcast.net. What is behind Manchester United's meltdown to this season? To this date, they have currently dropped down now to 7th in the Premier to 8th in the Premier League. They dropped down below Chelsea. They have dropped below Chelsea. They have 54 points. They are on a -3 goal differential, with Chelsea being at an 11 goal differential with their 2 5-0 wins in the past week or so. In the past week or so, Chelsea have defeated West Ham 5-0, and they defeated Everton 6-0 on April 15th. You know, there was a 5-0 loss to Arsenal, smacked in the middle of it. But it's been overall a decent run for Chelsea, who now get back in 7th place. They're currently 2 points away from Newcastle, and they're 6 points away from Tottenham for that Europa League spot. Seems like Aston Villa kind of have, despite the loss to Brighton, seems like Aston Villa are really in the cat seat for that Champions League, and it would be a remarkable collapse for them to not finish in the Champions League spot, which is an amazing achievement for them. Imagine Champions League matchups at Villa Park. But let's get back to the main point. Manchester United, an injury-ravaged United team. If you look at their lineup today, they are going with the center-back partnership of Casemiro and Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans that was clearly injured. And, apart from Johnny Evans, who's not even fit, if we have to be really 100%, not a single fit center-back left for Ten Hag. So that has a lot to do with it. But if you watch today, it was just a lack of will, lack of desire. A lot of players not fit to wear the shirt. I mean, to get dominated the way they did, 18 shots to 7, 10 shots on target to 2, is really, really damning for a team of Manchester United's gravitas. It's really just a devastating season for them, getting eliminated in the Champions League, and now this. And now they have a few games left. I'm looking at it. Where's Manchester United where are they gonna get anything for the rest of the season? They have to host Arsenal this Sunday. Then they have to go to St. James's Park to play Newcastle. Then they host Brighton. And then they got the FA Cup final against Manchester City. Man, oh man, oh man. It's a rude awakening coming for Manchester United, and I don't know if they get a single point for the rest of the season. For the last 3 games against Arsenal, going to St. James's Park, Newcastle, and Brighton at home, I don't know if they get a single point. It's been such a bad season overall. The lack of sustained run of getting results has not been there all season. It's been lacking. They've had a lot of injury concerns all around the pitch, but even with the injuries, it's like sometimes you should know what your style of play is. You should have some sort of pattern of play. And they haven't had that at all this season. At all. Sometimes they played some woeful football, which previous managers were criticized for playing at Manchester United. But those managers were actually successful. Mourinho won a few trophies. Ten Hag hasn't really sustained that sort of success. Yes, he got them their first trophy in, what was it, 6 years or 7 years or whatever. And he always likes talking about back-to-back FA Cups, but they almost threw it away at Coventry. Another disgraceful performance. And the way they were dominated against Crystal Palace, I mean, it's a travesty. It's a travesty. They went in there and then Crystal Palace seemed like the only team to show up. I know you're playing at Selhurst Park, you got injury concerns, all that, but it was just a joke. Michael Olise, he was phenomenal throughout the entire game. Had a few goals, some of which I think Onana should have done better. Onana should have done better in at least two of those goals. It seems like he always gets his angle wrongs. I think Onana is definitely not the answer. I think as a shot stopper, he's very mediocre, and he's not to the caliber of Manchester United. I think there's been a lot of goals that United conceded that you could say Onana has to do much better, that you can question Onana on. I think Casemiro today was an absolute disgrace. I mean, he looks like he's going through the motions, almost. And I don't know if it's the fact that if he just is not up to the standard at Manchester United nowadays in his career, if he's just too old, or just a blimp. I don't know, but he's not up to that standard no more. He's turning the ball, he's giving the ball away in horrible areas of the pitch. He's not looking comfortable on the ball. He's chipping penalties on the first penalty kick of the game, kicking it straight to the goalkeeper. Just kind of look like he don't care anymore. And that's kind of the expression you get from him looking at him. Not questioning his desire or his work rate, any of that. Because, he's a proven Champions League winner and he has an amazing track record of being the best. But if you have to talk about his performances, they've been so mediocre. All across the pitch, it was mediocre today. Christian Eriksen, no-show. Just doesn't have the legs anymore to compete with this high level. Doesn't take the game over. A lot of bad turning the ball, losing the ball in bad areas for United. A lot of losing the ball in bad areas. And then one-on-one defending, just completely struggling, getting melted upon. Again, I can't blame Johnny Evans. He's been injured and he really shouldn't be playing. He kind of played for the club for today. Took a beating because the club needed him. But it just seems like when you look at Ten Hag on the bench after these goals, he looks like a man with no answers. He literally looks like a dead man walking. That's the perfect way to describe Ten Hag. He looks like a dead man walking. Now, let's say theoretically, if they go on to lose the rest of their games, is that enough for the United ownership group to say, yeah, we have to move on from Ten Hag? I'm very interested to see what exactly has to happen for the rest of the season. I saw Michael Owen saying, just sack him now, have new energy for the rest of the season. No top 4 race happening, none of that. So might as well just sack him now. But I don't think that's really the answer. I don't think an interim manager coming in gives you a better chance to win against Manchester City in the FA Cup final, which really that's what their season comes down to. Even if you ask United fans, will their season be success if they win that trophy? No, but at the end of the day, that is what their season comes down to. I think having a manager come in, an interim manager, I don't know, maybe new manager, swing, could help you out. But Michael Owen had some very critical things to say of the manager, critical things to say of the club. And it's like with the Man United, there's a new problem every year. After last season, they're thinking, everything's going to be on an upward trajectory. We're looking good. And then this season comes, you're just like, oh, when is the breakthrough going to come for us United fans since Sir Alex Ferguson? It's been suffering, pure suffering, when you compare to standards that United fans live up to, of winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues and all that. And there was a lot of players who were not fit to wear the shirt. Onana was not fit to wear the shirt. Casemiro was not fit to wear the shirt. Wan-Bissaka was not fit to wear the shirt. Amrabat was not fit to wear the shirt. These are guys that are just not flat out not good enough. Not good enough. I'm looking at the Olise fourth goal. It's a disgrace. How is a goal? Not just the ball getting the ball turned over by Casemiro, just playing with it in the corner of your own side, but that shot, Hayase has power, but it's nowhere near the corner by Olise. That's a very savable shot by Andre Onana. For a top goalkeeper, he's having to. You should be making that save comfortably. He should have at least. This should be a 2-0 game, but it turns into 4-0 because of the goalkeeper mistakes, and now all the criticism is surrounding this Manchester United team and Erik Ten Hag. And again, he looks like a dead man walking. With his press conference, he's always making excuses. Oh, we had this chance, we had that. The referees did this, the referees did that. Even after today, he couldn't have any excuses to make up. It was just a flat out. It was a bad day at the office. And this is like a lot of bad days that's happening this season. So I'm very interested to see what needs to happen what will happen for the rest of the season for Manchester United to sack Ten Hag. And if they win against Man City, is it all end and done? Is it happy days? We're one of the best teams. I mean, we're the FA Cup winners. We continue to stay. I don't know. Ten Hag continues to stay. I don't know. We'll see. That was the end for Manchester United's Meltdown. When we come back after the break, we'll be discussing Bayern Leverkusen extending their win streak to 48 games. A remarkable 48 games.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
We will move on to the next segment. Before we start off the segment, though, I'd like to ask that you like and follow the show. We get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so please, so that your questions get read on the air, please use the tips and donation link at the GSMCpodcast.net with your questions. This puts your questions at the top of the list so that I see it, and also really helps grow the show. Bayern Leverkusen have extended their win streak to 48 games. Unbelievable achievement for a Bayern Leverkusen team that are now comfortably won La Liga. They're 15 points clear at the top of the table. They're 26 wins, 6 draws, with only 2 games to go against Bochum and Augsburg, who are in inferior opposition to Leverkusen. But obviously, everyone is inferior opposition to Leverkusen. They just had a phenomenal season. 84 points. Bayern second with 69. I'll say this. This year, Bayern's team was good enough to win La Liga last season. Was good enough to win the Bundesliga last season. It's just that but the rising of Leverkusen is the reason why this Bayern team with Harry Kane has not, because this Bayern Harry Kane team, they're not much worse than the team last season when you look at it from a Bundesliga statistics point of view. 69 points this season through 32 games. Yeah, 32 games, 69 points. They finished last season with 71 points, and theoretically they could still get up to 75 points this season, which was more than what they had last year. But last year, the main contender Dortmund only finished 71 points. They won on goal differential, 15 goal differential. This season, Bayern Leverkusen, they just completely dominated the league. 84 points, 26 wins, 6 draws. Under Xabi Alonso, they play great football. And I'd say the development under Xabi Alonso has been great. The two fullbacks, two of the best fullbacks in the world, they really developed this season. Fernbach and Grimaldo, amazing players who've had amazing years, putting up ridiculous numbers of assists from left back and right back position. I believe the most combined fullback assists in one season throughout the entire world. Just Florian Wirtz, one of the best young players in the world. He's going to be in that Germany starting 11 at this upcoming Euros. Alex Grimaldo going to battle for a spot with Spain, and Jeremy Frimpong, who's going to also battle for a spot in Netherlands. Yes, he has been amazing, but Dumfries, he's kind of been like everything for Netherlands with that right side attack as that right wing back. He's kind of been everything for them, but it's really hard to say Frimpong should not be starting. That's a very difficult decision to make if you're the Dutch manager. Ronald Koeman. So I don't know exactly how to describe this Bayern Leverkusen team, the level of consistency throughout the entire season. They're in the battle for the treble. They still have the second leg to play in the Europa League against Roma, up 2-0, but they have the DFL Pokal final against Kaiserslautern, FC Kaiserslautern. They have that final to get ready for. So they could theoretically, it will be not the strongest treble, because obviously the treble, when you think of treble, you think of Champions League, you think of the domestic cup, and then you think of the Bundesliga. They'll be getting the Europa League, but it's still a remarkable achievement for Xabi Alonso. The football that they play, the up-tempo football, the way that they were able to finally take Bayern off their high horse, just a remarkable achievement. Leverkusen, they've scored the most goals from distance this season, from set pieces this season, and in the final 15 minutes, they've been called the later Kusen, the late show, because they've scored a lot of goals within the last minute to win them the game or get them a point, and it kind of shows this is their year. They're very clutch team. They're very clutch team, and that's what the top teams need to be. This is a 59-year-old record that they have equaled as their unbeaten season continues. 59. This is unbelievable. I mean, I'm at a loss of words of how amazing this means. This win means that Leverkusen has equaled the record for the longest unbeaten run across all top-level matches since the introduction of European competition. It's phenomenal. 48 games, not a single loss. This Bundesliga is their first title in a 119-year history of Leverkusen. Bayern Munich has won 11 straight finals, and they've reached the German Cup final. And also they've reached the German Cup final and held a 2-0 advantage into the Europa League second leg. It's just, when you look at it, you're thinking, will this go down as one of the greatest seasons of all time? What if they finish the rest of the season undefeated? What if they finish the rest of the season undefeated? Remarkable. Xabi Alonso, he's staying next season. So how does this address, or how does this affect the future of Leverkusen? Because most of these teams that have their 1 year, they kind of go on a downfall. If you look back at Lille winning the Ligue 1, they really struggled this season. Following Napoli, they've really struggled this season. And the Leverkusen. But the thing with those other teams is they've lost their manager. Leverkusen, Xabi Alonso came out. He's not joining Liverpool. He's not going to join Bayern. He wants to stay with this Leverkusen, continue this project. So I think this kind of motivates some of these players, some of these top players that might be scouted by other teams, like a Frimpong, like Grimaldo, like a Florian Wirtz, to say, nah, let me stay at Leverkusen. Let me play for this manager. Let me continue to win trophies for Leverkusen. Let me build a dynasty for Leverkusen. And I think Xabi Alonso staying also elevates Bayern Leverkusen into a different status. I think this will might start becoming a big team, might start developing some sort of consistency because of this. I don't know, because it's hard, with the way this football pyramid is, but they are a very, very good team. A very, very good team, loaded with talent all over the pitch. And they've won Bundesliga in supreme fashion. So I don't know why. I don't see a reason why this will end. Right now, I don't. Obviously, at the end of the day, even if it all comes down to the players, whether or not they want to stay, there will be some of these big teams will come for Florian Wirtz, will come for Grimaldo, will come for Patrick Schick, will come for, I would say will come from Xhaka, but he's been on the big teams already, so he's kind of looking to, he's probably going to settle in. But there's players that will be scouted by the bigger teams. Bayern nearly had an invincible season in 2012-13 and in 86-87, but they suffered one loss in the league in both seasons, and both times their losses were to Bayern Leverkusen. So Bayern Leverkusen being the primary reason why we haven't had an invincible team up to this point, now are 2 games away from being invincible. Wouldn't that be remarkable? That'd be very, very. That's a very interesting statistic. Not statistic, but very, very interesting fact. That might be the reason why Bayern Leverkusen might be the first team to finish, and I think they'll do it. I think they'll finish the rest of the year undefeated. And I'm surprised that they weren't able to make the Champions League last season, so that they weren't in this predicament where they were fighting for Europa League. You would think that they would be a steady rise, but it was a very quick fire rise. And I'd have to say, I don't know much about what happened to my Bayern Leverkusen last season. I don't know why. I do know they are in Europa League this season. But the way that they quickly improved from a Europa League side to a team that ran away with the Bundesliga is it's a very shocking thing to see. They're unbeaten in 48 games in all competition. This ties the record, which has stood for 59 years, to become the first Bundesliga champion in 11 years. After Bayern Munich's 11th straight run. I mean, they're breaking records all over the face. This is a historic team. This is a team that you'll never forget. And this is probably, you say, more dominant than Napoli's last season. Because Napoli, even though they had a good, very, very good Serie A, they did struggle in the Champions League in the quarterfinals when they played AC Milan. An AC Milan team that wasn't as good as them, but it is kind of, I'd have to say, in Champions League, there's nothing that matters more than culture and heritage and all that. And at the end of the day, AC Milan had it while Napoli didn't. So maybe that's what it came down to. But no, I'm very impressed with Leverkusen, and I feel like they have a good recipe for being able to keep this. And it starts off mainly because they're able to retain Xabi Alonso. Retaining that manager is very, very good for them and will allow them to continue on this set of run. Well, yeah, this was that's my thoughts on Bayern Leverkusen. When I come back, I'll be talking about Real Madrid being La Liga champions.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live.
Before the break, we were discussing Bayer Leverkusen extending their, win streak out to 48 games. Real Madrid have officially won La Liga. So, bravo to Real Madrid. They are the La Liga champions. It was kind of inevitable. We've known this throughout the entire season, basically. And, there was earlier this season, there was talks about Girona. There was a period where they were first place. But come on. We knew this was Real Madrid's year. This is revenge. Excuse me. This is a kind of revenge payback for last year because Barcelona did win La Liga last year. In Xavi, who's actually staying at Barcelona manager. That's a topic for another day. But yeah, Real Madrid champions after Barcelona lose to Girona. Real Madrid first with 87 points. They're 13 points clear of second place Girona, with 4 matches to go, and in the Bundesliga with 4 matches to go in La Liga, and obviously it's good for them clinching La Liga this early. They have the rest of the Champions League left for them. They have a very, very important game against Bayern Munich at the Bernabeu on Wednesday. On Wednesday, yeah, I was correct the first time I said it. On Wednesday, a very, very important game at the Bernabeu, going up against Real Madrid, going up against Bayern Munich, going up against the likes of Joshua Kimmich, Thomas Muller, Leroy Sané, Serge Gnabry, a lot of quality. So it was important for them to rest. That's the most important. It's important for them. They're able to, cruise through the rest of the season and get ready for the next second semifinal and potentially the final if that comes, hopefully for them. I think Real Madrid were very professional. The way that they got it done throughout the season, it was very, very professional. They went into the season not having a striker. They didn't have a striker going into the season, They signed Joselu, which is kind of like, just a presence in there. They brought Brahim Diaz, who kind of gave them the flexibility if they needed to. They were able to switch to having Brahim Diaz up top against Bayern in that first leg whenever things were a little bit stagnant. It's just a guy that goes in, gives you flexibility. Bellingham kind of played in the false 9 role. He was able to take on a lot of, especially earlier this season, take the load on for the goal scoring for this Real Madrid by making those late runs into the box, And speaking of Bellingham, after he won La Liga, he said, quote unquote, This club is the highest you can aspire into in football, and not that's what it is at the end of the day. That's what Real Madrid is. That's the culture, they're not gonna. The gap between Real Madrid and Bayern is not wide. Barcelona is not wide enough that both of them are gonna, that one of them that Barcelona is gonna win back-to-back Champions League. It just didn't seem like Real Madrid were gonna allow that to happen. They're out here talking about there's always gonna be a talk about Mbappe to fill that striker hole, but at the end of the day, this team is still brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant. They have a good mix of experience with some Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Carlo Ancelotti is there at the highest level, and who continues to do it at Real Madrid. And then they got the youngsters. They got the Tchouaménis, the Camavingas, the Bellinghams. So also very seasoned professionals, very, very professional in just the manner of how they behave, in the manner of how they play. But they're also young, and they also lack experience, but that's matched by the guys that they have. They got everybody in there has won a Champions League. Even the new guys, even the guys that didn't win a Champions League under them, like Antonio Rudiger, he won one with Chelsea before. So all their guys are like, they're all seasoned pros. There's a lot of experience in there to help the young guys, to help this kind of revamp of this team. For some reason, when you watch this Real Madrid team and last year's Real Madrid team, there's a difference level in confidence in how they play, and a little bit in difference in quality. They're very, very more tactically astute, more willing to open up, especially at the Bernabeu, they weren't really willing to do last year or the season before, which I want to really point. I can't really point at the reason why, because it's not as easy to say, oh, Benzema in this team is new and Benzema on that. It's not about not Benzema. Bellingham being in this team and Bellingham not being in the last team. That's not Bellingham is a brilliant player. Don't get me wrong, very, very talented. Even though hot take, I will take Jamal Musiala over him. But there's no denying Bellingham's talent. But he's not the reason for the shift. I want to know what is the reason for the shift. What is the reason and difference in quality? Because it looks very, very different. That last year's Real Madrid team, they were kind of like, let's just stay in it. The confidence wasn't really there. You could tell whenever they went up to Manchester City. Look at the difference in performances. Obviously, they had to suffer this when they went to Etihad this year. Don't get me wrong, took it to penalties after suffering a lot of shots. But it just seemed like they were much more confident in transition, much more confident in their quality, and they weren't scared to go out Manchester City, and they were very, very strong defensively. They didn't really have that last season. They didn't. I want to know what is the big difference between this season and last season. Because if you look, they didn't get a crazy amount of transfers. They didn't get that big. They got Jude Bellingham, which is a billion player, but is he at that level? Is he at that level? I wouldn't say so. I don't think. I think he's a very, very good player, but he shouldn't be someone that shifts them from here to here. Now, what do they think about next season? How can they improve this team to next season? Obviously, Mbappe being available, that's just the obvious thing. Mbappe being available, it's been kind of written the stars for a while. I'm surprised it hasn't been announced yet, which kind of makes me weary whether or not this is happening. I'm confused on that. But Mbappe, he gives this Real Madrid team a goal scorer, someone that gives them flexibility, that can play on the wing, that can play as a striker, So he'll be good. But at the end of the day, after signing Mbappe, it kind of raises questions. Can you employ Mbappe, Vinicius, and Rodrigo? Like, they all kind of three similar sort of players. And they're all very, very talented and all too good to be on the bench, in my opinion. Obviously, Rodrigo has his days where he can be sometimes frustrating a little bit, but he's still a very, very good player. What do you do with Vinicius and Rodrigo? Is Mbappe coming in, maybe one coming out, Does that open up a chance for one of these other top teams to get one of these guys? I don't know. I have no idea about that. It's just it's a very interesting conversation, a nuance of conversation that we need to have. Real Madrid did finish the season 27 wins, 6 draws, and they have 1 loss with 4 games to go. So having 1 loss this season, this proves their level of consistency and their professionalism. You know, Arda Güler came in, he's one of the better players, young players, and now they're looking to build up to the second leg against Bayern, and that's going to be their primary target. They're going up against a Bayern team that is, you know, that kind of looks at the Champions League. Thomas Tuchel and Bayern that look at the Champions League as, you know, their season essentially. Their season is in the hands in this next game, and then the game after that if it reaches there. So now they can focus all in on this, which is why being able, and they did clinch La Liga technically this week, but we've known for months. Let's be honest, we've known for months. So there has been a level of calm. There has been a level of we were able to rest and save our players for these more important moments. You know, that has been the case. That has been permanent in the way that they've approached certain games that are around the Champions League time, and now for the rest of the season they can continue to do that. I know that this is the semifinal in a couple of days, and then the rest of the games are kind of like on their own, and so. But it's still the way that they were able to keep this comfortable throughout the entire season is was very beneficial for them throughout the Champions League. This is their record 36 La Liga title. They own the previous record. They're just extending their record, and they've only lost once this season, and they hold a 13-point advantage. It's just, yeah, phenomenal. When we come back, we'll be talking about David Moyes' West Ham departure and the resurgence of Chelsea. We're kind of getting back up to things. So when we be back, that'll be what we'll talk about.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Breaking news. David Moyes has been let go, or let me rephrase that, mutual decision between him and West Ham. He'll be gone at the end of the season. You know, Fabrizio Romano has already came out and said Julian Lopetegui has agreed terms with West Ham to become new head coach, replacing David Moyes from next season. And Lopetegui has accepted the proposal, and he's, you know, ready to come in. He was the manager for Wolves, and departed before the season a few ago, and in the 2022-2023 season. So it's very disappointing, because I always loved the football David Moyes played. Not necessarily the football, but you know, the way that they put, especially Everton, they always punch above their weight, and he got this West Ham team to some brilliant highs throughout his tenure. You know, they won the European Conference League title. They won the European Conference League title in the 2023 final. They've had some good stretches in the Premier League. Last 2 seasons, they've kind of suffered a little bit. There was a little bit of question marks at the end of the season. You saw David Moyes, he went on a podcast saying, I hope West Ham are able or decide to retain me because I want to continue this project. So I didn't think that he ever had the desire to leave West Ham. I never thought that internally he had that desire to leave West Ham. He's always loved West Ham as a club and an organization, and he's always wanted to compete for the respect of the fans, for the badge. But at the end of the day, it was getting a little bit of sour. The football has been a little bit dreadful. The performances have gotten pretty bad. Losing to Chelsea 5-0, who, as you can see, we're talking about. We'll kind of talk about later on. They were eliminated from the Europa League, which they were kind of waiting for. You know, conceding 5 to Crystal Palace. It's just been a little rough. They are 9th in the Premier League, which is not the worst. I mean, it's not great because they've been higher under David Moyes, but it's really not the worst. But at the end of the day, you know, they haven't achieved the best results, and I think it's been unfair treatment from the organization. That's the way to put it. I think it's been unfair treatment from the organization, but this is something we kind of been like mentally coming to grips with for a minute because of the fact that there has been question marks for now multiple seasons, and West Ham, they are difficult. Sometimes I don't like the way he some answers he gives. Like, I didn't like when he asked why West Ham has been on the end of some heavy debates. He said Declan Rice. I don't necessarily like that. Because at the end of the day, you got money for him, and you signed players to replace him. And at the end of the day, one player is not the club, and you need to stop dreading over someone who's not there anymore. At the end of the day, he's not there anymore. He did lead West Ham to their first major trophy in 43 years, and that was a very, very good achievement. West Ham winning in Europe, you know, they very, very remarkable. Even though this was kind of a new competition, but yeah, some of the results got stale, and you know, West Ham decided they wanted to go and wanted to part ways. Chelsea are, they've had a pretty putrid season by their start, but they're starting to climb up. They're 7th place in the Premier League. They're only 2 points behind Newcastle. You know, for a lot of the season, they've been kind of, stuck in the 50-50 position between like, they've been 8 wins, 8 losses. You know, they've been they haven't had more wins and losses, but they've been picking it up as of late. They're up to 15 wins, 11 losses, with 54 points. They're only 2 points behind 6th place Newcastle. They're 6 points behind 5th place Tottenham, who they beat a week ago. They just jumped Man United, who suffered, as I was talking about earlier, a horrible defeat. So they're out there. They're battling for Europe. They're battling for a Conference League, maybe Europa League position. Chelsea is, and besides the 5-0 loss that they had from Arsenal, they haven't really, in the last couple weeks, it's been pretty smooth with Chelsea. They've had a few bad results in dropping points against Burnley and Sheffield, and they did lose to City, but their performance is good. It was a tired City who was playing on a short week after that Champions League tie, an emotional letdown too. And they had that meltdown of a result against Arsenal 5-0, but then they had beat West Ham 5-0, and they also beat Tottenham, and they also destroyed Everton 6-0. So I think there has been a little bit of a resurgence. Again, I don't think Pochettino is the manager to get Chelsea over the top to winning Premier Leagues like they should be aspiring to, especially with the money that they got. But someone to smooth this squad over, to get these talented young players kind of going in the right direction. I agree with that. I agree with him being the manager on that. I am a Chelsea fan, so I was saying Pochettino out, and I'm still kind of in that remain because I want someone who's in that has the capabilities of winning the Premier League. I don't want us to have the ceiling on the club, but this team does need a lot of cohesion. They need someone that can come in that has a track record of developing young players. And Pochettino, as much as you want to say about his trophyless cabinet, he has that kind of CV in England, especially in England with what he did in Tottenham. So I think now whenever you see the players that they bought, with another year in development, I think the expectation for next season gotta be secure Champions League football in any way. Now, if you can qualify for the Europa League somehow, unlikely, but if you can qualify for the Europa League through that, or you gotta finish top 4 of your Chelsea Football Club, that has to be the objective. That has to be the objective, because this is there's been a lot of money spent on this team, and they need to start couping some financial value, or else it's gonna fall apart. It's going to fall apart with this new ownership. They have to start recouping financial value. It's a must. It's a must because financially, they give up a lot of deals, a lot of 8-year deals and all that. Spent a lot of money, have a high net spend, and for you to, combat those charges to be clean from FFPs, you still got to generate the money. And when you're not making Europe, whenever you're having these bad seasons of finishing in the bottom 10, or this season not finishing in the Champions League, which honestly I thought it was going to be another season of not finishing in the top 10. So the fact that I could say it's just not being in the Champions League is kind of good. You know what I mean? But as I was saying to the main point, that's the standard. They gotta start bottom for top 4 to protect us financially. If you look at the team of the weekend from this past weekend, 5 of the players came from Chelsea players: Nicholas Jackson, Gallagher, Madueke, Chalobah, Silva. And some of these players, they do have talent. They're just pretty raw. Like Nicholas Jackson, he is an athletic freak when it comes to pace and all that. Modric, he's very, very raw, but he has a lot of pace and power, and he could be a player. Madueke, he has some ability in him. Enzo Fernandez, Moyes Caicedo played very well at Brighton for a reason. He does have ability. Enzo Fernandez, he's a World Cup winner. He played very, very well in the World Cup. There's a reason why these players have value. They just need to bring it all together. And I think it's fair for you to have expectations on Pochettino next season, and I think we need to see some sort of style of play, which we do see this season. We just see a lot of inconsistency. We need more level of consistency throughout the season. They've had 1-2 very good results, and then they completely fall apart on the third day or blah blah blah. It needs to be consistent. The highs for Chelsea are very, very high, but the lows are very, very low. And that could be the case for inexperienced teams. That is kind of the formula for a lot of inexperienced teams. But having another season will allow you to gain that experience, Cole Palmer, by the way, in 42 games, he turns 22 today. In 42 games, 24 goals, 13 assists, 2 hat-tricks, and 1 4-goal game. He's been an amazing signing for Chelsea. He's been a bargain signing for Chelsea. For all the signings that they did, he's been the bargain for 42 million. Just a remarkable bargain. So I'd say Chelsea's future, I don't think he's going to be the main man of well, it looks like he is, but I feel like Chelsea are going to need something else for them to really battle for the top of the top. But I think he's a very, very good player and a very excellent signing for Chelsea Football Club. this is the end of the segment. When we come back, we'll be talking about we'll be previewing real quick the PSG Borussia Dortmund game coming up tomorrow at the Parc des Princes. So stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Before we went to break, we were discussing the David Moyes West Ham departure and the resurgence of Chelsea Football Club. But we have to discuss the Champions League tie tomorrow between PSG and Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund up 1-0 after winning the game at the Yellow Wall. Luis Enrique, Edin Terzic, two managers going up against each other. The odds are there. I mean, the everything's gonna be perfect. The atmosphere is gonna be amazing. It's gonna be kicked off at the Parc des Princes. The PSG are actually 210 minus 210 favorites in the odds. Dortmund are plus 525 underdogs. This is I think Paris is very eager to bounce back from what happened last week, which was the first time that they did not score a goal in any game in the Champions League. They have Mbappe, they got Ousmane Dembele, they got Barcola, they got players with quality and ability on the counter attack. They got pace to really, especially on the wings, to players to really make these Dortmund fullbacks struggle. We didn't really see much of that in leg one, primarily because Borussia Dortmund also had the ball and also had opportunities. But I think the key to this game is who was able to control the midfield. This game has a lot of quality in transition, but the midfield is very, very important. Emre Can, he's going to have to be crucial, just keeping that structure and validity in front of the back line, protecting that back line, and being able to sustain pressure by getting on the ball and, being very comfortable, slowing down the game when he needs to, speeding it up and getting it to Sancho and all that when he needs to. He's going to have to be very, very important, especially when you're on this kind of atmosphere on the road. He has the experience. Marco Reus was going to be on the bench more likely than not, and Matt Hummels, they are the experienced guys, so he really has to slow it down and tell his players, we're going to slow down the tempo here. Okay, we're going to speed it up here because we can get them on the counter. And he has to, defensively, has to be protecting his center backs, has to be protecting his weaker fullbacks, going up against the pace, covering up holes that his fullbacks might leave, going up in attack, all that. He's going to have to be very, very important. Mbappe's going to have his special moment. He has to be the reason why PSG are going to the Champions League final. He has to have a special moment. This is potentially his final year at PSG. Being the manager at PSG, being the best player at PSG, being their talisman. So he's going to have to show up and show out. I'm interested, will Borussia Dortmund, both teams, what are their strategies? PSG, I think they're just going to come out all out attack, Parc des Princes, just go, because they're at home, all that. But Borussia Dortmund, are they going to play on the transition? Are they going to be willing to be open and play with PSG? I'm very interested to see how Edin Terzic kind of goes about it, who's pretty experienced on this stage, but he is a brilliant manager. You know, he got the job on a temporary basis, and then he proved that he was good enough to be there permanently after Marco Rosa didn't work out. So no, I think this is gonna be a fascinating game. For me, PSG have to be the favorites just because of the sheer quality that they have and the fact that they have Mbappe. But you know, this is not something that's, you know, easy to pick. But Borussia Dortmund have a very, very good away record, despite the fact that they've been good at their home at the Edwana Park, and they have that atmosphere. They've been very, very good. Their team has taken more points away than they have home at the Bundesliga. You know, they've been very, very good and efficient on the road. They have good players attack-wise. They got quality. Their fullbacks, Ian Maatsen, he has pace. Marcel Sabitzer has been very well. Julian Brandt has been playing amazing, picking out balls. Adeyemi with his pace. If PSG open up, Adeyemi can take advantage of it. Jadon Sancho can take advantage of it. Daniel Malen can take advantage of it. And then they got guys that can change it up off the bench, like Youssouf Moukoko, a youngster who has quality too. They have the power, the players in the transition to take advantage of. Not just, you know, there's the reason why they made the Champions League semifinal. They didn't make it by accident. And it's not just PSG that have ability to do it in transition. So do Borussia Dortmund. They have very good team spirit, and they're all very, very highly focused. And Daniel Malen, he's going to be coming back. He was injured against Leipzig a few weeks back. Not against Leipzig. He was out against Leipzig this past game, and he's getting very, very close to making a return, and it's looking like he's going to be able to return against PSG, which is a massive boost. Having that kind of pace and transition when PSG opens up is just something that you desire to have. It's something that, you know, is very, very important for them. You know, and at the end of the day, all the players are going to leave it on the line. This is a game to reach the Champions League final. There's nothing left for them. Both of these teams, their season's kind of on the line here. You know, Dortmund, they're not really battling much in Bundesliga. PSG, or, you know, they've already won League One, the Farmers League, or, you know, it's kind of, you know, is there. Everything is there. Everything is available in the second leg for both teams. Luis Enrique coming out saying we're not obsessed with getting 2 goals. I don't know what that means necessarily. Let's not. These managers, they're always psychologically playing games with the other manager. They're playing games with the other player. I don't know what that means. We're not trying to look for second goal, for 2 goals. That's not our mindset. I mean, the mindset is to win. At the end of the day, no matter what it takes, to win, to go to the Champions League final, to leave everything on the line for your team, to leave everything on the line for your teammates. That's the standard, that's the culture, that's the tradition, that's what the Champions League is all about. And I don't know who's going to come out. I don't want to go this way, that way, because I think either way, you know, I think you could argue either way, whatever happens. Either possibility is very reasonable. Kobel is going to start in goal. I'm looking at a predicted lineup. They're thinking about Ryerson, Hummel, Schlotterbeck, Maatsen, Sabitzer, Chan, Sancho, Brandt, Adeyemi, Füllkrug. I believe that's right. Füllkrug is also going to have to be much more efficient in this game. He's not going to get that many opportunities, but when he does get opportunities, it's going to have to equalize on those opportunities. Because PSG is they're gonna threaten them. They're gonna put up some goals. You know what I mean? There's no way they're gonna get in a game that they need to win. They're not gonna get held scoreless at the Parc des Princes. But you never know. Dortmund could play defensive. You saw early in the group stages when we saw Newcastle play against PSG. They really struggled to find that breakthrough throughout the entire game. So can we see that happening? Can we see them struggling, because with Luis Enrique teams, they do struggle. They're kind of passing side, but they're struggle on making those intricate balls, those cutting edge plays. Can we see that from PSG? There's been moments throughout the season that we've seen them suffer to, find that breakthrough opportunity. But it takes one goal early in the game and it completely shifts everything. So I'd have to say, just based on the sheer attacking talent that they have, I will go PSG, but I'm very, very interested to see how it goes. But thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Soccer Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go